Hello, I'm Miss Leon, and today we're going to learn to draw realistic figures. Drawing people is one of the most challenging but most rewarding things you can do as an artist, because if you learn how to capture people, you can record the people in your lives. It takes a little bit of work, but it's actually very simple. Step 1 is the skeletal figures. So you're going to do this by identifying the joints. The joints are the pink parts. It's the places where your body connects to the different parts of your body. You're going to make sure that the angles, the places where you put the green line, which is the skeletal figure, are precise. To draw the skeletal figure, you're going to start with the head, and then you're going to go ahead and add the shoulders, elbows, and hands. You want to make sure to add the hip joints next, because the hips and the shoulders are what determine which way the body's facing. Then to get your skeleton, you connect all the dots, and the skeleton is going to be the basic structure that you build your whole figure on. Next step is visualizing the basic shapes that make up the body. Everything is made up of basic shapes, including the human form. I start with the torso, which is just 2 squares, one for the chest and one for the hips. Then I'm adding these little lines on the side of the chest square and the side of the hip square to show that angle at which her body is pointing. Then I connect the chest and the hips with the waist being slightly smaller. Next is the legs. You can draw an oval, or you can draw from the center of the hip down to the knee and the other hip joint connecting down to the knee. For the calf, I'm going to do a small oval just behind the skeletal line of the leg and connect the calf muscle to the heel with a curved line. You can see the orange lines indicating which way the leg is curving. Next, we're going to go to the other leg. Draw an oval, or again, draw from the hip joint down curving to the knee and up curving to the hip joint again on this back leg. You can see the orange lines showing which way the thigh is curving. For the calf muscle, I'm going to do another small oval and then a small oval in front for the shin and a square for the foot. Next, I'm moving on to the arms. I'm curving from the shoulder joint up to the elbow and from the elbow up to the hand. You can see I'm keeping the arms skinny, but still getting those curves that you can see with the orange arrows of how the arm bends with the different muscles. And those are your basic shapes. So just to review, we go from doing a skeletal figure, which is just the joints and kind of the spine connecting everything. And then we do basic shapes on top of that. And this is just made up of circles and squares. Step 3 is connecting the figure. So that's the purple lines. So you have the basic shape of the figure. Now you're bringing in the things like her dress, the curve of her back, connecting the different shapes that were separate, like the legs and the arms. Instead of having these separate blue ovals and parts of the legs and arms, we are now connecting them and making sure we get those nice curves as indicated by the orange arrows. Step 4 is going to be erasing the unnecessary lines. So we use the skeletal structure and the basic shapes to give us the form, but once we've traced over it and we like what we do, we can erase the spine, we can erase the basic shapes, then we are left with the overall form of what we want. And the next step is just going to be to refine different things. As you can see, it's pretty good. It looks like the picture. So always be comparing to your reference, whatever you're drawing, and then make certain refinements. You can see that I'm just putting in the details of the hands, putting in the edges of the skirt, making the legs skinnier in some places, longer in some places, erasing and refining, erasing and refining. Shading is exciting because it is the final refinement in making your figure look realistic. We're going to shade using the side of our pencil, and as you can see, I'm finding the dark spaces. So under her leg is pretty dark, by her knee, behind her calf. I'm going to shade those with the side of my pencil and then kind of smudge them out. You can smudge with your finger, a Q-tip, or even a tissue paper. And then on the other leg, I'm kind of shading the darkest parts, the muscle parts. But then I go in with my eraser to refine it. And then once I erase the kind of highlights where I see on her, I smudge again and erase, smudge, shade. For the hair, again, I started with the darkest parts. I smudged it out. Then I'm going in and adding more dark spots. Going in kind of a loose way, textured way, and then I add my eraser and do the highlights and smudge them again. So arms and neck is going to be the same thing. I do my darkest parts first, smudge it out, and then come in with my eraser and smudge again, and then maybe add a little dark, add a little bit of light. So the whole time what you're doing is adding darkness and adding light. For the dress is a lot lighter than the rest of the picture, so you want to make sure you smudge everything out, but then you use a lot of your eraser and the smudging of that just to show the highlights. This is our final figure with all the shading and everything that we've done. You can see it with the basic shapes underneath and the skeletal figure. And here is it with the photo. You do the skeletal figure, the basic shapes, and the final outline. Just to review, you draw your skeletal figure first. Then you go ahead and add the basic shapes made up of squares, of ovals, all that. You connect the shapes, that's the purple line. You erase all the lines, you add your final shading. Remember, anybody can draw, it just takes a little bit of work and a lot of practice. Congratulations! You finished. It's been a pleasure drawing with you. Remember, you have to make bad art to make good art. If the figures are not as realistic or to the level that you like, the best thing to do is keep drawing and keep failing and keep trying. I'm Miss Leon. Thanks for watching Drawing Realistic Figures, and check out my other videos.